have here the Bora sleeve, and I have printed it on size 10, and I'm gonna keep the top of my sleeve because I want to do the same puffiness that I had. The thing is that instead of finishing the sleeve here like we had on the Bora pattern, I actually extended this line straight ahead, and this one I did it a small curve coming until I had a new line on my wrist area. To decide the length on this, what I did was starting on your shoulder, I measured my own sizes from my shoulder to my cuff, and then I did the straight line and I gave 1 centimeter more and did this line here. And so I have my wrist line on the edge here. I made a small curve on this area here, just coming smoothly from the top of the sleeve until the lower part of the sleeve. And this is my sleeve. I will cut on the green line that I've marked. It already included the seam allowances, so I think this will be okay for my sleeve. Then we also have the back, and for the back, now let me show you first the front. So the front, for our front piece, what I did was I have closed a little bit the neckline, so I've drawn a new neckline, a little bit not so showing, not so revealing. So this is my new line, and this is the green one is with the seam allowance included. So if you want to have the reference of the previous line from the Bora pattern front, I have moved my neckline 4 centimeters up, and then I did the curve, and then I did the seam allowance in green. And having these parts done, I went to my window actually, and I draw this part here. So this part here, using the green, and then making seam allowance on the opposite, because we will now add on this area here, we will add the tulle. So we want to have a piece, a pattern piece here, and then that pattern piece will combine with the main body. So this is the tulle piece, already with the seam allowances taken from this drawing. Don't forget that you have to overlap the seam allowances here between this piece and this one, because you are going to sew them together. And this is how I have my dot tulle front and the main piece with the new neckline. And then moving to the lower part here, I'm not gonna make a lot of differences. I'm just going to extend by 2 centimeters down here, just because I'm not sure yet how I'm gonna finish this. I think I want to place some buttons as a finish, so I can use this as a body. This is the main goal, right? So I added 2 centimeters for now, and that's it. As for the waistline, I have extended the waistline from the one here on the top. I extended 5 centimeters. So from this line here, you have 2 options on the Bora pattern, and from the top option, the higher option, I extended 5 centimeters. I will put on the video how much in inches. Don't forget to add the seam allowance and remake the entire seam allowance so that you can then cut your pattern. And so I'm going to redraw the curve for the seam allowance, and I'm going to show you what I did for the back. So for my back, I also went from here down 5 centimeters. From this one it's 3, but from this one it's 5 centimeters. And then added the seam allowance. I already draw in green my seam allowance, so the new line where I want to cut. Okay. And I will have and I extended the same 2 centimeters just in case I will decide later what to do on the lower part here. On the back, but for the top back, I want to place a button here with a small opening. So as we did on the front, we have to design a new piece here also for our tulle, this area here, and this will remain our body on our main black fabric. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go against the window. I have already drawn the same measurement for my shoulder from the back and from the front to the back, and I've drawn my new line, and I'm just missing my seam allowance. And once that is done, I'm gonna go to my window, and with the blank paper, I'm gonna pass the tulle pattern to this sheet, and I'm gonna come back to show you. I have drawn my tulle from this part here to this paper on my window, as I told you, and so I now have my body with a slightly reshaped area here, just because I didn't want this to be an inflection point, so I tried to smooth the lines between the top where my tulle will be until it connects to my main body. So I slightly changed here the curves, but I believe you can also see and do the same at home. And now it's time to cut all the pattern pieces and start assembling it. When you cut your back, you actually can check if you have drawn it correctly. It's quite easy, because you will have this which was here, right? And if you overlap it to your drawing that you have made, you just need to add the seam allowance on this side, which is the side that connects with the body. So this is the same for the back and for the front. So I'm gonna start by cutting the tulle. I'm gonna do one layer, of course, only because it's see-through, and I want to have the full potential of this tulle. It has some stretch, but I'm just going to be using it for the sleeve and also for these two small bits. And so let's just cut the back, the front, and also the two sleeves on this tulle, and then we can cut the main fabric. We still need a little bit more details so we can finish our bodysuit. So what I did now is I measured from here, from the bust point, I made it a straight line, perpendicular line to the fold line, and then I measured from there downwards 8 centimeters, and then I added 1 centimeter more for seam allowance of an elastic band that I will place here. So we will actually do a top on the top part of our body, so that it will be lined on the top part of the bust, but not on the lower part. So to cut the new pattern pieces for the lining, for the top lining, we will cut with using this new line and the top front. Then I measured this here, not the seam allowance, the actual pattern. I measured this and I measured this here, and combining the two measurements together, I went to my back piece, and from the shoulder seam downwards, I placed exactly that measurements from those two ones here. And then I made a straight line perpendicular to this one, and I saw more or less where it was going to. It was going straight there. But then, okay, so I improvised more or less a perpendicular line from that line over there here. And as you can see, we have two lines, this one and this one. And then using the curve, you slightly curve the line until they meet together, and you have the lower parts of your back top, the one we are going to place underneath our body. So now I'm going to cut again, or if you want, you can copy the pattern, but I'm going to cut mine. I'm going to cut here. Don't forget that this already includes the seam allowance that we have mentioned on the front, and I'm going to cut the front, and then I'm going to cut the fabric pattern pieces, and as always, I'm going to start by sewing the darts. You already know how to do it. If you don't, please check our other videos where we have, for instance, the gray stop, where you can learn how to sew the darts, or also a tutorial only on darts that we also have available on our channel. So the first thing I'm going to do is prepare the tulle for my back. And to do so, and I've already done it on one side, I'm going to show you what I did. So we had the two back pieces from the tulle, and I want to have a very large opening on the back so it fits, the body fits over my head. And so what I did was I combined right sides facing together of my two back pieces from the tulle, and I decided how much I wanted to sew them together on the seam allowance. And that's what I did, like 5 centimeters. And after I did that, and I believe this is easier to do before I sew this, but well, I have already sewn it, so I'm gonna do it and show you how I did it. So first I sewn this area here, and then with the fold over elastic, I placed a lot of pins, as you can see, and I folded the elastic until I reached the opening, the edge of the opening. And since my fold over elastic is already sewn in place, I'm now going to trim the excess here on the lower edge, and I'm going to repeat the process for the other sides. So what I do, to show you again, I could also extend the fold over elastic until the end, but this time I'm gonna do this experiment like so, and so I will not continue my fold over elastic till the bottom there. So now I'm gonna repeat the process on this side here. So again, I'm gonna get my fold over elastic. I'm gonna pre-cut a little bit. And with a lot of patience, a lot of patience, I'm gonna fold the elastic, and I'm gonna place all these pins, place the elastic in place. But to make sure that this is perfect, what I usually do is I place half of the elastic on the correct spot, I pin it in place. But then I thought about what I was telling you, and I decided that I'm gonna take one of these, so one of the sides, and I'm actually going to cover and continue with the fold over until the end here. Let me make a rehearsal to see if I like it. So again, I'm going to fold and secure this in place. Let me check if I like it. So once it's done, it will have this line here, or no line. But if I don't have a line, I have the seam allowance from the tulle anyway. So I really don't know. Well, I'm gonna sew the fold over here, and I'm gonna do it with the fold over this time. So I like it, and I decided that I've never done this before, okay? So if you are watching this tutorial, I want you to know that I've never done this before, and so if this is not good in the end, you will know why. Well, I'm gonna fold this again, and I'm gonna do a stitch on top here on the tulle, making the tulle flat on the surface of the fold over elastic, like so. And this will be my back piece, and I'm gonna do the same here. So this will be like so once it's done. Okay, I'm gonna put a button or something here in the end. I don't like this here. But I don't see any other solution for this, so I mean, if I only fold one of them, like this was side, this looks better. But I actually prefer to fold both of them, like so. So I have a dilemma. I'm gonna think about it. Okay, I prefer to have a nice finish, a nice connection here. So I'm just gonna fold one of the tulle against the fold over, like I'm showing you here. And I'm going to do a zigzag along the entire line that I'm pinning until I reach here. And this will be finished when it's, of course, with a button here. Now let's grab our back pieces, align the center back together from the top of your back here until the lower part here of the bottom, and just pin and sew this along. You can use your overlock for this or a zigzag stitch, as you prefer. We have some other tutorials on how to hide shoulder seams and how to line the body but not the shoulders and still hide the shoulder seams. So you have a lot of options on how to sew this one. Today I'm going to do one of the options, but if you want to check out different options, just look for those videos. With the center back seam ready on your back, you can take a look to see more or less the look that we want. We want our tulle to be here with the right side facing up, right? So like this. And we want to have our back, which I have already sewn together also on the back here. And we want to have our lining on the inside also. So we want to connect, to place the tulle between these two fabrics, right? But before we do that, let's prepare the front. As I told you, just do the darts first. And the next step will be combining the shoulder seams. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place my back with the my inside facing up and my front with main side facing up. Sorry, my English is bad today. And now I'm gonna align and I'm gonna pin the shoulders and sew the shoulders together, and do the same for the lining. So next step on this project today was I did a basting stitch between the two notches on my sleeve to create the gather, just like we did for the Bora pattern or the Lucky top. And then I found an elastic which is not too strong, and I think you have a lot of ways to finish your cuff, but I want to do a very small elastic and a stitch just folding 1 centimeter the fabric. So I'm aligning the elastic very carefully here and pinning it in place, and then I'm just going to sew, not on the elastic, of course, a little bit further from the elastic, from one edge to the other, and then I will pull the elastic until I have the correct size for my cuff. So this is how I'm going to prepare my sleeves for now. So this is ready. We now just need to do the stitch from one side to the other. You can do a straight stitch or you can do a zigzag. It will be okay anyway. And just repeat the process for both sides. Then for my back piece, and we will combine the back piece with the front one, we just align the back on top of our table, and then with our front facing, right sides facing together, we will align the shoulders and pin them and sew them together, both shoulders. Then you have to decide how you want to close the top here on the back. In my case, I'm going to be using a button on one of the sides, and I'm gonna use an elastic on the other. You have a lot of options for this, but today I'm going to go for this option. And that's it. As you can see, our cuff is ready. We are just missing me pulling the elastic and gathering it until it reaches the amount of centimeters that I want for my wrist, my diameter. But I'm not going to do this now. I'm just going to prepare the other sleeve just like I did this one, and then I will be back on the table. So now that I have my front and my back on the shoulder seams sewn together, I flattened both of my seams, one to the front and one to the back, and I did the same on the other side. And I'm just going to go with the fold over elastic all around my neckline, on the top here edge. And when I do that, I will be having my seams flattened just like I told you here. And I will also go ahead and secure my button and my small elastic to close on the top here. So let me see if I can explain what I want to do here. I'm going to remove everything so I can explain you what I'm going to attempt. Well, I have my front top on this side and my back here, and my right side is facing up on my table. And so when I have my tulle, I want my tulle to stay like so, right, with the right side facing up. So I want to sew my seam allowance with right sides facing together. I will align the side here, and I will place a clip and another one here, and then I will go with this till the edge here, leaving 1 centimeter for the seam allowance here. And now I'm going to slightly stretch and align the edge here again. But now we still want to combine our lining, and we will do this all around. So we will pull carefully all around while we sew. We will pull and align the center, the sides, etc. But now I also want to sew at the same time. I want to sew this one, and I want to sew this one in a way that when it's inside I have no seams against my body. So this means that what I want is, if this was going to stay like this inside here, and we want the lining to hide this seam here. So what I will do is I will place wrong side up on the table, and I will pin the shoulder, and let me just test to see if this is okay. Yes, I think so. And so now I'm gonna align the same that we did before. I'm going to align the center here, and I'm going to try and sew this all around, and hopefully I will hide my seam that connects my tulle to my main neckline. I will start by doing a basting stitch all along this edge here, just to try it out and see if I like it. And then if I like the result, I will do the final stitch. So this is my top already sewn. I just need to take out my basting stitch, which I did in gray so I could see it. And when I turn it to the right side, it looks like a mess, but it isn't. It's nice. It's not perfect, but it's nice. Let me just... Here it is. As you can see, I have made a lot of mistakes while I was sewing, like here. And here on the edge, it's not perfect also. We now have this area done. I'm just missing my button, which I'm gonna place in a minute. And now we are just missing, now the next step will be placing our sleeves. So here you can see my piece already turned to the right side. It's not perfect. I can see here some places where I was not that perfect, like here. But overall, I think it's quite nice. I also don't like the V here. It's not perfect either. And on the inside, I just need to take my basting stitch because it was made in white. So I remove it. And I will also go to the overlock and do the entire seam with the overlock, because this stitch is not elastic and I want an elastic stitch on my seam. So I will go over to the overlock and overlock the entire area. And I will be back here to let you know what to do next. So now I want to show you what to do next. I'm a bit lazy today, so I don't know if I'm going to hide my shoulder seam or not. I'm still thinking about it. So we have here our shoulder area, and I have the notch here, but here I don't, so I must place the notch before I do anything else. And on my sleeve, I have already went and did the basting stitch between the two notches. And I also have the middle here. I had a pin, but the tulle and the pin are not very friendly. So, well, I can see that the middle is here, so that's okay, even if I don't have the pin, because I marked. And what we are going to do is place right sides facing together of our notches. So this notch from the middle will be here. I'm gonna mark the other notch, which I haven't on my back part of my pattern. And I'm gonna match the notches from the sleeves. So I'm gonna now match this edge here. You have seen me doing this before on our live swimsuit pattern with sleeves or in the Bora pattern. So this is not new for you, for sure. And if you believe that this is all black and you can see very well, I would suggest watching the tutorial on Bora. Probably you can see it a little bit better there. So you can try that. Meanwhile, I will decide if I want to hide the seam, because if I do, now is the moment. So I'm gonna mark this. I'm gonna pull the strap, the threads until I have the correct length according to the pattern for the sleeve also. So I'm gonna create the effect of the puff sleeve on between the two notches. I'm gonna pin on the other side also, and then this will be ready to sew. But if we want to hide the seam, we need to do another step. So I will be back to show you what is that other step. So my sleeve is pinned in place, and this one is the one I still haven't finished the cuff, but that's fine, I can do this later. And now if we want to hide this seam, I'm going to roll my sleeve until it's a little bit smaller, and I'm going to bring my lining over, and I'm going to align the seam here, and I'm going to repin everything again with the 3 layers of fabric: the main, the sleeve, and the lining, which in this case is the small top that we designed for our interior of the body. You can decide if you want to do this or if you want to leave your seam not hidden, so it's up to you. I'm a bit lazy, I don't feel like doing this, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna align this very carefully and pin, and then I'm gonna secure all of this on my sewing machine, and I will show you how the sleeve is once it's finished. I've done already the attachment of the sewing of the sleeve to the main body, and I've hidden the seams inside here. So even when it's on the inside, you will not have any seams visible. And I'm gonna tell you how you can do that on this side here. Again, you also have other tutorials with sleeves on our store that you can follow, but I will roughly tell you how to achieve this. So again, open your pattern with right sides facing up on the table. And now we will align our sleeve, which is wrong because this needs to be made on the right side with right sides. So this is the right side. So the right side of my sleeve is this one. And as you know, we have already prepared the brush, the puffiness over there, and so we just need to secure the middle here only to my main layer of fabric, here, and pin all around and sew it with a zigzag stitch on this edge here. Secure this with your overlock if you want. I'm just going to remove the basting stitch that I had here. I had a blue one which I'm going to remove, and then I'm gonna just show you what to do with it's not mandatory to take this out, but basting stitch was removed, and now it's the time that you need to be patient. So how do we do this? If we place this to the right side, and this will be our right side, you will see that you want to hide this seam inside your top from the inside, right? So you start at the beginning of your sleeve under the arm, and you simply fold this the opposite sides. And now you are not able to pin all the sleeve at once, so what I will do is I will do half my sleeve and then I will do the other half. The first part I'm gonna pin the beginning only, and then this will move along as I'm on my sewing machine. So I will start pulling the fabrics from the inside here and matching them just like we did on the edge there. And if it's easier for you to see on another video where the color is not black, because on black I know that sometimes it's not easy to see on the videos, go ahead and watch our other tutorials on how to attach the sleeve and hide the shoulder seams. We also have another video on how, specifically on how to hide the shoulder seams, so you can watch that very short video. So I'm gonna start with this small bit, and then I'm gonna pull slightly as I go. As I sew, I will pull, and I will do the zigzag just like we did before. And when I'm more or less in the half the sleeve, I will go out and then start again on the opposite sides, again from the edge to the middle. Now that I've sewn both sides, if I pull this to the right side, I have my sleeve secured between the two fabrics. So now we are going to prepare the cuffs. On this side, as I shown you before, I have already inserted an elastic inside here, and so I'm just going to measure my wristbands, or at least a comfortable measurement with this elastic. So I'm gonna check which is my comfortable. I'm gonna pull. And imagine this is like so. I'm gonna see if this is okay. No, it is still loose. So I pull a little bit more. Let me check again. Yes, this is it. This is comfortable for me. So I'm gonna place one clip on this edge and one clip on the other edge, and you should place the elastic on the other cuff also, and we will move until we need this ready. So please repeat the process for this one. And now we need to take care of our under the bust band, and we need to actually sew an elastic here. So measure your own under the bust, and according to your elastic, check the tension in which you are comfortable with your elastic, and then come with the elastic here, and I will tell you how to secure it to the lower part of your top. So to start, you can sew the sides of your top. So this is the top the smaller one underneath the body, and I will sew the sides, right sides facing together with a zigzag stitch from this edge to this edge, and then I will fit the elastic on the lower part here. I have here my elastic. I overlapped it and sewed with a zigzag, securing it together. And now with my seam on one side, I'm gonna fold the elastic like so, and I'm gonna mark the opposite side here with a very small mark. And again, I'm gonna place this mark against my center back, and I'm also going to mark my quarter here, and the same on the opposite side. And this is just to help me position the band with the tension around me on the correct spot. So the first thing I should do is identify the center of my front. On the back it's easy because you have a seam, but on the front you don't have a seam. So I'm going to grab my pattern and I'm going to mark the middle of my top front. Upside down, as you can see, with my darts, and I had already placed the pin on the center front here. Place another one. The flush side is facing up because once I secure the elastic to my top, I will then fold and do a zigzag, so my flush side will be in contact with my skin. That's why it's facing up on the table at this moment. I'm gonna open my side seam. I'm going to align my notch here on the side also, just like I did on the front. And then move the elastic all around until you secure it to your 4 points that we have marked before. So I need to go over. It's my elastic, side with side. And back and back. And now we have our 4 points marked. We just need to stretch slightly, like so, until our fabric is the same size of our elastic. So when we sew these two together, we just need to make sure that we stretch and then we pin in place, like so. This will depend on your elastic strength and on the measurement that you took for your elastic. In my case, I don't have to stretch a lot, but this will completely depend on you. Now using a zigzag stitch on the edge there, secure the elastic to the underband area of your top, then fold and top stitch with a zigzag all around, and your under the bust band is ready. You can see that my bands is ready, so we can go back to the right side, and I'm gonna do the cuff on this side, which I haven't done yet, and then I will tell you the next step. Now it's time to sew the side of our sleeve from the lower part of the cuff here to the top, and then down until the hip area. And to do so, we are going to place all our body on the reverse side and do this seam on one go from one edge to the other on the reverse side. Finally, we sewed the sleeve and the inside here, and we are only missing the lower part of our body. Now this has a lot of options that you can use. For me today, I'm going to be stabilizing the seam. Remember, we gave 2 centimeters more on the front and on the back for the seam allowance because of the buttons. I'm going to apply these in white because that's these are the only ones I have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first sew these small bits of fabric. It has 2 centimeters, and then I cut it a little bit wider than it should because then I can trim. I'm going to just secure it on this side to stabilize my fabric, and like this we have no elasticity on our pattern. And then I'm gonna fold, and when I fold I stitch again, and then I will place on one side these, and on the other, the opposite sides, I will place these, and it will be ready, and I will share how it looks. Now with this stabilized, I can trim the threads and the excess material if I want, or I can do it later. I'm just gonna do it now because I like it. Perfectly see how this turns out. Of course, if this was black, it would look much better, but nevertheless you will not see it, so it's for me the same. And now we are only missing the leg holes, so this is very simple. You just apply the elastic on the second side or on the reverse side, and then you fold and you apply a zigzag from one edge to the other, and you will have your body finished. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you like our video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel.